I think many of you might be using AI to help you get pregnant. So I want to be clear. AI cannot get you pregnant. It can help give you some tips if you're starting to try. But if you're struggling to conceive, relying on generic, somewhat disconnected advice could cost you valuable time and possibly your chance of starting a family. Hi, I'm Dr. Marc Sklar, also known as the Fertility Expert. And for over 22 years, I've helped women all over the world finally get pregnant by addressing the real reason behind their fertility struggles. If you've tried the supplements, timed your ovulation, cut caffeine, yet nothing's working. You've also been researching every possible symptom that you have, and now you're more confused than ever. You've read blog posts that should sound right, but something is missing. That something is not AI. What it is connection, understanding, experience, and critical thinking. AI gives you answers, but it doesn't know how to ask the right questions. It doesn't know your full story, exactly what all your hormones are saying, your stress, your diet, your lab histories, your emotional stress load. It doesn't know any of those things. But in this video, I'm going to talk about all of those things and how to connect the dots so that you can get pregnant. So now I want to talk about some key points about the differences between working with a real person, a real fertility coach, and using AI. And maybe we can talk about actually the smart way of combining the two to get you a little closer to having your baby. Okay, number one, the way AI normally works is that it's going to give you generic information. It's going to pull from the internet information that's already there and compile it for you. So it's going to give you generic compiled information. Your fertility coach is going to personalize your plan for you. So a way this would look is you type in to Mr. Chat and say, hey, Chat, my fertility coach, I would like for you to tell me what are the best supplements to take for fertility. And it's going to say to you, well, I think what the research shows and what the information pulls out there is that you can take some CoQ10 and you could take some fish oils and some vitamin D and maybe some Vitex. The difference is that when you have that same conversation with your fertility coach, i.e. me, I'm going to look at all of your lab work and all of your history, and I'm going to synthesize all of that. And I'm going to customize exactly what you need. Let's just say you do need CoQ10. I'm going to tell you the proper dosage that you need, or the same thing for vitamin D. It's just telling you that you might need Vitex, and I'm going to tell you that you don't, because it's going to disrupt and throw off your hormones. So there are a lot of nuances that happen when we're evaluating a case that your Dr. Chat won't be able to tell you. A perfect example of the right way to use this is I was talking to a member of my program a couple of weeks ago, and we were reviewing the supplement list that I wrote out for her. And she said, well, I want to find a better way to take this. She actually didn't say that to me. She thought it to me. And afterwards, she typed into chat and say, these are all the supplements that my coach told me to take. And she wanted to know what's the best way to take this for her schedule. And so it created a good schedule for her on how to take those supplements. So that is the proper way to synthesize the two in this specific point. We don't want generic stuff. We want key specific guidelines that really Mr. Chat or Dr. Chat cannot do for you. The second point that I want to make is that AI cannot read between the lines. It doesn't understand how to do that, but a coach can absolutely do that. So what do I mean by that? If you're inputting data into Dr. Chat and say, these are my cycles, my menstrual cycles are 28 days, then what Dr. Chat's going to say back to you is, oh, your cycles are regular. That's great. You're doing just fine. I'm going to ask the nuanced questions. I'm going to evaluate things in a little bit more detail, so much so that even though a cycle might be 28 days, and this is a real example, even though a cycle might be 28 days, I'm going to pick up that actually, even though it's 28 days, the luteal phase is too short because you're ovulating later than you think that you are. And so we're going to have that conversation to do a couple of things. One is you think you might be ovulating on day 13 and you're really ovulating on day 16 or 17. which means your luteal phase is too short. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust when you're trying to conceive. We're going to have conversation about shifting and timing your intercourse a little bit later. The second thing that we're going to do is that we're going to figure out why your luteal phase is too short. Let's just say it's too little progesterone. And then we're going to adjust or support that weakness, in this case, not enough progesterone in the luteal phase, and we're going to lengthen your cycle. So even though we would ideally like a 28-day cycle, we want to push that out by a few more days in this example. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. And then that's going to give you the best chance to optimize your timing for conception. This is not a made-up story, by the way. This is a real story of a real conversation that I had with a member of my program where this was exactly what we were seeing. And as a result, when they switched things and timed things appropriately, they were actually able to conceive in 3 months because they were timing things appropriately. And prior to that, they were mistiming their intercourse. This is something that Dr. Chat will not be able to evaluate. The third tip is that AI cannot adapt with you over time. As your hormones improve, as your fertility improves, and as you evolve through a plan, things need to adapt. We need to be able to adapt with you and adjust your plan as we go. That's not something that Dr. Chat is going to know to do. Dr. Chat is just telling you to do things one time. We are going to be proactive in how we support you, right? So if you're relying on Dr. Chat to help you, then the nuances of how to adjust and adapt to your improvements over time, to your improvements with lab work, to your improvements with your cycles, to your symptoms changing, all of that needs to be adjusted in real time. So one of the things that I do on a regular basis with the members of my program is we have weekly calls. And during those weekly calls, I am checking in with them, they're checking in with me so that we can get an understanding for what their progress is like. And we are adjusting things, potentially, as things need to be adjusted, right? As things get modified, as we start to see improvements. And progress isn't linear. So sometimes we have negative things that happen, right? Oh, my cycle didn't change the way I wanted to, or I ovulated too early, or my menstrual cycle wasn't the same, whatever it might be, I feel different. So we need to be able to have a conversation to be able to adjust what you're doing appropriately in real time. And that is certainly something that Dr. Chat cannot do. Fourth thing that I want to cover is that AI gives you content, but your coach gives you context. And those are two different things. So if you're talking to Dr. Chat and you say, hey, is my AMH a good number? My AMH is 1. It's going to say, yes, AMH of 1 is a reasonable AMH to have. But context changes everything. Right? If your AMH is 1 at 28 versus your AMH being 1 at 38 or 48, that's very different. So we zoom out to get the full picture of the situation, right? Many clients who are starting to use AI will panic when numbers get spit out to them, right? They put in some information and then some information gets put out. So they put in numbers and they get spit out to them. It's not about panicking in those situations, but it's going to make you panic when you're talking to Dr. Chat because there's no context to the situation, right? I can evaluate those numbers with proper context and correctly give you feedback that actually empowers you and empowers your fertility versus just being scared over whatever it is that Dr. Chat tells you. Okay, number 5, AI has no emotional connection to you. It just doesn't care. But me as a coach, I'm absolutely 100% invested in your results, in your outcome. So for AI, if you had a miscarriage or another cycle failed, or you weren't pregnant this cycle, IUI or IVF failed, it's just another data point, right? They can't understand or relate to you. To me, I remember your entire journey. I'm there to celebrate the wins. I'm there to pick you up when things get difficult and to support you when you're down. Just the other day, I was having a conversation with a member of my program, and we were reviewing her history. And again, she had another failed cycle and she was obviously disappointed. She didn't know where to go from here. How do we approach things moving forward? So we had a real conversation, a back and forth conversation to understand that even though, yes, you had some failures and there were some struggles, there were still some positive that she had achieved over this time, I was able to reframe it. So even though the outcome wasn't positive, I was able to reframe it so that she understood that she had grown, she had changed, she had improved. And really, we needed to make a good decision about how we move forward. What was the proper next step? Did she actually need a break, which is often the case? Or could she just move forward into another cycle? So together, we decided that she actually needed a little break. That is something that Dr. Chat won't be able to do. Right? That's where real people connect with real people to have real conversations because we're invested in your outcomes. Number 6, which is a piggyback off of the last one, is that AI cannot be there to support you mentally and emotionally, but your coach, me, I can be there to support you. Even these videos for all of you watching, I'm here to support you. We might not be able to talk face to face, but I'm here to let you know that you can do it. And that is something very, very different, right? If there is fear, guilt, shame, there's relationship strain, right? That happens very, very often. These all impact your day, your life, your fertility. Dr. Chat can't be there to talk to you about that. That's just data points back and forth. But me, I can be there to discuss those things. What are the strategies that you're going to do now to help overcome some of those things? We integrate the emotional healing because we're talking to you and connecting with you. This is what real relationships are like. So when Dr. Chat can't be there to empathize, it's just text, we're there to support you and pick you up. During the 2-week wait, when it's challenging, right, and you're stressed and you don't know what to do, that's when my members reach out to me and to the community at large, by the way, my community at large. We have these conversations back and forth. What can I do during the 2-week wait to help support me mentally and emotionally? How am I going to get through this next stage of things? Or, we had a failed cycle, like I just mentioned in the previous example. How are we going to get through those things? That's where we are there to embrace you, even if it's virtually, to give you a warm hug and let you know that everything's going to be okay and we're going to get through this together. Dr. Chat can definitely not do that. And before I get to my next point, I do want to let you all know, I've got so much more of this to share with all of you that I created a masterclass for all of you. It's free, completely free, but you do have to register to join me. And I want you to be there because I want to connect with all of you and let you know what I think you can do to improve your fertility. If you want to join me, and I know you do, just use the link in the description below to register, and then I get to be with you for this masterclass so that we can improve your fertility. Number 7, AI cannot see the entire picture. It can't connect all the dots. I can. This is exactly what I'm trained to do, is connect the dots. AI understands that you're trying to conceive. And when I understand that you're trying to conceive, I start asking questions. What else is going on? Talk to me about your emotional health. Tell me what your digestion is doing. How well do you sleep? Talk to me about your diet. Do you have histamine reactions? I pull all of these things together to see what's imbalanced and how that's impacting or affecting your fertility. Your Dr. Chat cannot do that. It doesn't understand the intricacies of all of your systems and how they're corresponding or communicating to one another. Part of what I wholeheartedly believe in is that to improve your fertility, we have to improve your health. And to improve your health, we have to understand what every system is doing, the good and the bad. What's off with each one? And how are we going to improve each one of those areas so that we can create balance, cohesion, and integration between all of those systems? That will allow your body to function properly, and then your fertility will turn on. I see this all the time, and conception happens. A great example of this, before I go on to the next point, a great example of this is a member of my program. I'm going to call her Lisa for this example. Okay. And Lisa had unexplained infertility, my least favorite term and diagnosis. Dr. Chat doesn't know what to do with unexplained infertility, doesn't know how to manage that, but I was able to look at her unexplained infertility case and be able to start to analyze her situation. And what we found was that she had leaky gut, also known as intestinal permeability. She had cortisol dysregulation. Okay, her cortisol, some of you might understand this as like adrenal fatigue. And when we started to support her stress response, regulate her stress response, give her tools to manage that, and start to heal her gut, which took a little bit of time because we needed to adjust her diet. We needed to restore the strength of her gut lining. All of that took time. But once we were able to do that, she was so much healthier. Her body was so much healthier. And in turn, shortly thereafter was the next cycle after, she was able to conceive. So these things are possible when we're able to connect all the dots and understand how everything is related to one another so that you can get the proper support. That is absolutely something that Dr. Chat cannot do. All right. How about holding you accountable? Can Dr. Chat hold you accountable to the things that you need to do and when you need to do them? I don't think so. I do think it can actually help you create a schedule to hold you accountable. But in the end, it's up to you and me. That's right. Because when we connect, when we check in with one another on a regular basis, whether that's once a week or once a month, I'm going to ask you, so did you do these things? Tell me what progress you've made. How have those things affected you? So we check in, we review your plan, we talk about how we're going to move forward, ongoing motivation. These are things that Dr. Chat can absolutely not do. And my members often say, now that I have to report to you and you have to hold me accountable, I'm actually following through with my diet and I feel so much better. And I get to follow through with the things that I know I need to do versus just make excuses. Dr. Chat still allows you to make excuses. AI treats the symptoms, but a coach uncovers the root cause, the root problems. Let's just say you ask Dr. Chat, or you say, hey, I have irregular cycles. What can I take for something like this? Or what can I do? Dr. Chat just might say, hey, I want you to take some Vitex or some inositol. And that should help regulate your cycles because it's just generic information, right? It's just, I've got this symptom, so take this. For me, I want to understand why that's happening. So I want to dig in to your symptoms. We want to understand why that's happening. You have insulin resistance, gut issues, inflammation. Why? Yes, inositol might help. Yes, Vitex might help, but it's just treating the symptom. It's just a piece of the puzzle. If we don't understand the entire reason, if we can't get to the root issue, we're always going to be doing the same thing, spinning this hamster wheel. We don't want that. You don't want that. We want to understand why things are happening. And Dr. Chat can't tell you that because it can't dig deep beyond, oh, you have insulin resistance is not the reason why. You have gut issues. That's not the reason why. We need to dig deeper to understand why those things are happening so that we can regulate the insulin resistance or the gut issues or the inflammation. We get rid of that. That regulates your cycles. And then that gives you the opportunity to conceive. That is the power of real people, of real connection. That is what all of you want. You want results to get to the root issues, to understand why things are happening so you can actually have success and have your baby. If you're ready to stop guessing and start getting real answers, I want to invite you to book a free personalized fertility assessment with my team. This isn't a generic call. You're definitely not talking to Dr. Chat. We'll take a deep dive into your history, uncover what's been missed, and map out a clear, natural plan tailored specifically to your body, your health, and your history. You've been doing this alone long enough. Let's change that together. Click on the link below to apply and take the first step towards the fertility support that you deserve. You don't have to keep wondering if you're doing the right thing. You can get answers. You can get pregnant, and your next step can be simple. Book your assessment. Let's move forward one step at a time. And until the next video, stay fertile.